with Miss Joan.
We're going to have a 3-part series about our time in Alaska. And so we're going to have a 3-part series on the 3 main cities that we were in, which is Anchorage, Seward, and Homer. And so today we're going to focus on Anchorage. All right, start us out. Explain our trip.
Me?
You.
Okay. Got on the plane in Atlanta, and we flew almost 8 hours, direct flight to Anchorage. Long for me, because I like to get up and wiggle.
We stayed in Anchorage for 2 nights, really just 1 day of sightseeing though, because the day that we flew for so long, we were just ready to
and when you get
find the hotel, go to bed.
Right. Well, we got here like at 11:30 p.m. and we got off the plane. It was 8:30 p.m. Right. Oh.
But for us, it felt like midnight.
Yeah. Right. And everything's so bright because it don't get dark. I'm not used to 24-hour daylight, but I'm adjusting. It took me a little while, but I'm catching up.
And so everything I read about Anchorage said that kind of 1 day was plenty to really see the sights, and then you want to maybe move to another city in Alaska to explore. And we found that to be true. Let's talk about our day in Anchorage.
Staying here at the Holiday Inn Express, staying 2 nights, and today we're fixing to take the Anchorage Trolley tour. I'm really excited about that. We ate breakfast. You know me, I'm going to talk about eating. And we had breakfast at the Holiday Inn, just their little free breakfast, but it was very, very good. They don't know how to make gravy.
I was wondering if she was going to admit that they don't know how to make gravy.
It tastes like my gravy. It's some kind of meat they used in it. It wasn't what I was used to, but other than that, it was good. Then we headed off to catch that Anchorage Trolley.
No, we did not.
See?
I had booked Sammy's shuttle to pick us up from the hotel to take us to where we could get our picture made at a Welcome to Alaska mural.
Nice lady. Picked us up. We used her twice.
I did.
Okay.
And so she took us to that mural to get our picture made, and then we came to the Visitor Information Center.
We hadn't caught the shuttle yet.
Where you can find information
Trolley.
about different parts of Anchorage and Alaska. Ask them questions about how to plan your day, that type of an information center. Here's a quick tip for you. If you go to the Log Cabin Visitor Center, there's no restrooms there. So just walk directly behind it. You'll see a glass door that says it's the Egan Civic Center. Just come through the glass doors and then go downstairs and there's bathrooms. And then from there is where you catch the trolley that she wants to talk about, because it was the highlight of the day. It was fantastic.
Yeah. But oh man, the tour guide that we had, she was awesome. I mean, she started talking. She talked the whole time, and everything she said was so interesting. She was a retired school teacher, and so I mean, she really knew how to tell it where you felt like you was really there when it happened.
Faithful Togo and ties Togo. There's a chance that the current will pass them close enough to shore that a desperate rescue could be attempted.
Trolley took us to Ships Creek, where people fish in Anchorage. So it took us past the Alaska Railroad Depot, which we'll talk about the Alaska Railroad in a few minutes because we did ride that later. We stopped at the Captain Cook Monument. It's at Cook's Inlet. On a clear day, you're supposed to be able to see Denali from there. It was not clear for us, so we couldn't see Denali at all.
She pointed out where Sarah Palin lives.
She did point out where Sarah Palin lives. She said that's a common question. The whole
group was real interested in that. Okay, but we was interested in Captain Cook too.
We learned a lot about the earthquake that hit in Anchorage. She gave us lots of information about that, showed us places where you could see like the fault line and you could see the difference between just even 2 sides of the street from where the earthquake had hit. We went to an area called Earthquake Park. Then we saw the plains that are at Lake Hood and Lake Spenard. They're just all kind of float plains everywhere.
At that earthquake place, is that where we saw the moose?
It was close to there.
Okay.
It was at an area called Kincaid Park. We saw a moose with twins, 2 little babies. Now, when you see the pictures, we're not at a zoo. You see there's a fence, and you think, oh, they just went to a zoo. No. In Anchorage and in different places in Alaska, they have put up like fencing
along the highways
to keep the moose from getting into the highway. So it's just people's houses that has a fence beside it trying to keep the moose from getting into the highway and causing destruction.
But it was really neat to see.
Yeah. It was really neat. I was glad to see a moose.
Retired school teacher, and her name was Donna McCary. But at the end, she got to tell us that they cooked salmon every Friday and Saturday night. Well, that perked my interest, you see, because I like my cooking show. And so when the trolley ride was over, I said, would you mind if I've got a little cooking show at home with Miss Joan, and would you mind if you told me how you made your salmon on camera? Oh yeah, I'll be glad to. So, cooking salmon, and I said, will you please tell me your recipe for at home with Miss Joan?
All right, so here's the one thing. The problem with salmon is people overcook it, and that's the biggest problem. So what you want to do in the winter, you want to put your salmon in a glass dish and put just a little bit of water in it, and then you want to cover it with aluminum foil, and then just cook it at about 350 degrees for about maybe like 10 minutes max, and then you take that aluminum foil off, and then you put your fork in it and pull it. Now once you see it change color, when it changes the color, even if it's still the dark salmon color in the middle, pull it out. 10 minutes is all you need, because it's going to continue cooking, and then cover it up again. Then once it's completely cooked, and you're going to want to put Montreal seasoning, you're going to want to put Old Bay on it, or whatever your southern style is, you can put whatever you want on it. But then when it comes out, I put 1 cup of butter melted, a little bit of garlic in it, and then once the butter's melted, I put 1 cup of sour cream in it, and I whip it up with my little thing, and then pour it over the top. It makes this wonderful sauce on top of your salmon, and your kids will just eat it up. All right?
So that sounded really yummy, and I'm going to try it and how she cooks her salmon. And I feel like I made a new friend.
Then after the trolley tour, we went into, it's like right across the street from it pretty much, kind of diagonal to the trolley tour area, is the Alaska Public Lands. It's a federal building, so you kind of go through security, and then once you go through it, there's like all kinds of just exhibits about different parts of Alaska, about all the animals that are here. It's very informative. They have a theater where you can see different movies throughout the day, and we watched the one that was about the earthquake.
Big, huge, true to life stuffed animals. I meant like big ones. Preacher really liked all that stuff.
After we were at the Alaska Public Lands Museum, we were ready for lunch, and so we walked. It's almost kind of right behind it.
Walk.
It's like 2/10 of a mile, and you would have thought it was forever. It's almost kind of behind it is a restaurant called 49th State. They are supposed to be world famous for their yak burger, which Dad tried the yak burger.
Yep. And it was big, and he ate the whole thing. Whoa! I didn't even take a bite of it.
And so she had the halibut.
It was really good. Big old piece of fish, about that big around, about that long. Come with slaw and French fries.
And then I had the king crabby grilled cheese.
Yeah.
And so it's a grilled cheese that's got crab meat in it, and then you dip it in a seafood chowder, and it was really good. So I liked that restaurant.
Hers was really good. I did take a bite of hers. Just the name Yak didn't sit with me.
There we walked. To so far, like
we walked
3/10 of a mile.
All day.
Anchorage is very compact for it to actually be a really large city. In fact, I think they said it's the size and land of Rhode Island, which that was amazing to me. But the sites for like a tourist are really right together. So even though she says we walked and walked, it wasn't that far. And so we went and saw this Northern Lights showing. Since we're here in the summer and we couldn't see the Northern Lights for ourselves, we thought, well, we'll go to this movie that they put on in the summer that shows you images of the aurora.
They had some of the most beautiful light show you've ever seen. It was, 40 minutes long? I was just tired when I sat down there. It's like, oh, man. And then it plays just some almost like piano music, orchestra music behind it, all the lights. But that's all. Very little narration at the front of it, right? $16 a person. Since I won't be seeing the Northern Lights, it was a really good place to go look for them. I thought it was a little pricey for actually what you saw. Is that true?
I agree.
We agree?
It felt a little bit like what you might could see on YouTube, but
yeah, it did. But you was in a
I know a lot of work went into it.
Right.
To find those images.
And just think of all the moving around they did all over Alaska to find
to film it.
Yes.
So there, we were ready for some ice cream. And so I had read about a place called Wild Scoops.
She does
ice
too
cream.
much reading.
And I give my Wild Scoops ice cream 10 out of 10. It was fantastic.
What'd you get?
Now, what would you rank yours?
10 out of 10. 0.
Okay, now the problem was she ordered, what did you order?
Well, mango.
Who orders mango ice cream? That is her
Well,
problem.
it sounded great. Mango ice cream sounded great. And then you put it in one of them, what do you call that?
Waffle cones.
Waffle cones. And oh no, there was a pigeon sitting behind me, and I fed it to him. He wouldn't even eat it, okay? But now hers was good, and what preacher get?
Vanilla.
Vanilla, and he said his was good, right? So
Mine was great.
2 out of 3.
And so I got the Sitka Swirl. It's a caramel base, and it had a waffle cone, and we all got what's called the Baked Alaska, where they toast marshmallow on the top of it.
Don't do that to ice cream, but
Do it. It was so good.
you
So,
tell.
You go to Wild Scoops and you decide what you think. If you agree with me that it was a 10 out of 10, or if you're on her side.
Or just try it at home. Put your ice cream with some vanilla marshmallows on the top, right? And toast it. And you're going to see that's the awfulest mess you've ever seen.
So good.
Pigeons didn't like it either. All right.
I didn't think
Nice
pigeons.
ice cream place, though. Really nice. Okay.
They always have a line, they say. You know?
Yeah,
there was a line.
There was a line.
And then from there, we took a taxi back to the hotel, and I started packing up my things because we had an early morning the next morning to get to the Alaska Railroad.
But I fell into bed and said I will throw my stuff in a sack in the morning. And that's what I did. I'm sorry, but I was killed out. But a wonderful day of looking all over the town of Anchorage, right? Now Preacher has jumped into the video with me. We're going to get his take on a few things. Oh yeah, and we're taking this trip to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary, which will be this fall. But this is our special trip because we don't do a lot of tripping, do we?
Well, we have to do it in summertime when I'm not driving the bus.
That's
too.
right. That's right.
Yeah, it was like Joan said, an 8-hour flight, but it was a good flight. I didn't have any problems. I stayed in my seat,
Oh, and I talked to a lot of people, nice people too.
like you would think she would.
I did.
But it's interesting just coming in, seeing the mountains with some snow on the top of them, and
He had a window seat.
I really enjoyed the flight, getting to see. And of course, I saw a lot of the country coming up here too when which blow the clouds. It's amazing how the country looks different as you come up north and get away from the south that we're used to all the time. We went to the Captain Cook Monument, and of course he's the one that was trying to find what was called the Northwest Passage, which would take you from the Atlantic Ocean over to the Pacific Ocean. And he was up here in what we know as Anchorage now looking, and that was very interesting to learn about him. And then later on we had supper. I did have the yak burger, and it was delicious.
That big.
It is
Meat.
a richer meat than hamburger meat. It's darker, but it's really good. I ate every bite of my
He did.
hamburger.
She probably got a picture of it.
And it was well worth the money I paid for it. And I'll get nothing if I find somebody that makes those things.
Off the beaten path, what's your favorite thing about being married to me, Preacher, for 50 years? Lean over in.
Well, your cooking is not bad.
Oh,
She is a
man.
wonderful cook.
You didn't expect me to ask that, I know.
Of course, you mess up the neighbor's dishes when you cook,
He always
and
says
I have
that.
to wash them.
Yeah. But I like for it to
But,
look nice when you set it on the table.
yeah.
So it does take 2 or 3 bowls for one item sometimes. We're going to get back to our Alaska talk.
Enjoyed
Fabulous.
Anchorage Trolley.
like
It's worth
that.
it. It was one of the best
yeah.
tours I've
And
ever
we
been
had the
on.
deluxe tour. There was 2 different kinds you could take. I
didn't know much about the earthquake that hit Alaska, but I was interested to find out some of the details. And tour guide, where we got on the trolley, told us that her husband was in the dentist office when the earthquake hit. He was just a little boy then, and the building actually collapsed. But because he was in a dental chair, the metal around him didn't kill him, and he was able to escape. And the building and the street sunk several feet from one side of the street to the other.
And that dentist, when the trusses and all fell down, it hit that little top thing on the headrest. That thing was such a strong chair, it stopped it. And the dentist was kneeling because he was working on a child.
Yeah.
And that's what saved the dentist and the boy. That was amazing.
But it was a
Her
terrible earthquake. It destroyed
Yeah.
a lot of Anchorage, did a lot of damage.
Your ice cream good, Preacher?
Mine was delicious. I ate every bit of mine. I didn't feed mine to the pigeons. I ate it. I never had the Alaska baked where they baked the marshmallow, but it was good, and I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the museum. They had some animals that were life-size in there. Also, I enjoyed seeing the moose that Jordan talked about. We saw Mama Moose. She had twin babies with her, It's amazing how big those animals are.
Their antlers, whatever that is.
Yeah, a full-size male moose can get up to 16 feet tall.
Oh, yeah.
And probably weigh 15 to 1,800 pounds.
And its rack could be almost 5 foot wide.
5
She
feet
pointed
wide.
to the front of that bus and
Yeah.
said, "Wide is this bus?"
Yeah, but we know what a 100-pound deer will do to a car in Alabama. Imagine hitting a moose that weighs 15 to 1,800 pounds. It would totally destroy your vehicle and probably kill you too. And that's why they have the fences up that Jordan talked about. But it was a fun day and a good day.
Now that pretty well sums up our first day in Alaska, which was at Anchorage.
Anchorage, yes.
We're going to talk about day 2 in Anchorage. We started the day out by catching the Alaska Railroad.
Today we're excited to ride the train to Seward. That's not it. The Alaska Railroad. And when you get here, you check in over here at this white tent. That's where you check in your luggage, because we're going to be leaving Anchorage. And then you go into this passenger depot, this door right here. That's where we'll get our boarding passes, and I'm excited about another day of adventure here in Alaska.
It starts at 6:45. You're supposed to get there an hour early, so we need to be there at 5:45. But then it really didn't take long to get through the process. We turned our bags in, which we're only using carry-ons. You know, I don't let them pack too much stuff. And so we kept our backpacks with us, but we had to turn in our carry-ons, and then we had to sign in with the train depot. When you're ordering your tickets, there are 2 types of tickets for the Alaska Railroad. There's the adventure class tickets. That's like a regular train ride with just like the regular windows to look out. And then we ordered what's called Gold Star. And Gold Star is where you're sitting in this domed type train, and so you can see all the way around you. And I thought it was worth the extra money to be in the Gold Star for this route from Anchorage to Seward. And so it starts at 6:45, and we were riding till about 11:15. When you sign in, they give you a pin to wear. What that included was our breakfast, and so they told you when to go downstairs.
We're on the train to Seward and we're about to eat breakfast in the dining car. It's nice.
On the train, there's 3 types of breakfasts, and we ordered, Mom and Dad got the Aurora breakfast, and I'm getting the country style breakfast. I would say a negative for the train was the staircase.
It's about this wide. Oh, that's my face. And spiraled. Little short spirals all the way down. That was rough on me. Well, I made it because I was going out to breakfast.
Train ride was just exceptionally good because of all the scenery. Unless you've been to Alaska, you just can't imagine the mountains and all the vegetation and even the animals that are out there to look at. We did see one brown bear. He crossed in front of the train and climbed up a hill beside of us, and I got to see him. And we saw a lot of eagles and some other animals, and so it was just a good ride. I was happy to be on it. And if you've never been on that ride, if you ever come to Alaska, I'd advise you to take it, because it's worth your time and money to go on the Alaska Railroad.
Well, now it goes more places, doesn't it, than just Anchorage to Seward?
Yes.
You can ride it several different
like
directions.
Fairbanks or different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but wherever you are, take the ride.
I don't have enough words to describe just how beautiful the snow-capped mountains are, even in the summertime. And just the water was so pretty. I mean, it was just breathtaking. Now, they laughed at me
I was
because
about to say, now, was
they
she awake
laughed.
the whole time?
they laughed at me because, you know, a train kind of rocks you like this. So she gets me up early. We get there, we get on the train, and then we start that slow rocking side to side. Next thing you know, I'd gone to sleep, and I couldn't believe it. I got mad at my own self, but I did, because I'm old, you know. But I stayed awake enough to know what a great ride that it is. How much did it cost?
It was $243 per person for the Gold Star. I'm not sure the price for the adventure class. When you're booking your tickets, if you want a little insider tip, to me the best seats, we were in car A. When you go in, the left side is the seats A, B, and the right side is C, D. To me, the best seats, if you can want to type in a request for seats, the very front, you've got 1A and 1B. So there's no one in front of those seats. I think that's a great seat right there. And then right behind it is 2A, 2B. That's where I was sitting. It's a very good seat because you only got one person in front of you. And then, of course, you got the domes. Right behind me was U2 and 3A and 3B. And then right across from y'all was the 3C and D on the right side. And the way the train was set up, no one was actually in front of them either. Mm-hmm. And so I think any of those are actually probably the best seats in that class in the Gold Star seating. So when you're making your ticket reservations, you might want to type in those front numbers. When you're checking in your luggage, you tell them what you want done with your luggage. And so because we were actually going to pick up a rental car and go somewhere else, we were just going to get the luggage from them. But if you're actually riding it to Seward and you're going to stay in Seward, they'll actually take it to your hotel for you or take it to the cruise terminal. So you've got lots of options on the railroad for your luggage.
It may be one of my favorite things. We'll see when the week's out.
And so that took us from Anchorage to Seward. In Seward, we picked up a rental car. I had rented with Alaska Auto Rentals. We picked up the rental car to take us to Homer, which that will be the next episode of At Home with Miss Joan. We will talk to you about Homer. I will say that picking up the rental car was a little unusual. Just so you know what it looks like.
They left me in the train depot to sit there, wait on them.
So if you rent from Alaska Auto Rentals, they've been very kind. They've been very helpful. But just to help you know what to do is that you'll actually walk out, but you won't go towards the town. Your brain thinks we're going to head towards the town, but you don't. You actually turn left, and you're going to look like you're heading towards, what would you call that, like an industrial looking type area?
Yeah.
And you walk maybe half a mile up the road, and then they'll send you pictures of what it looks like. There's a building, and on the side of it was our keys, and they had given us a special code to get in. I told Dad it felt like I was my students getting into like the mystery box because we had the code and we were opening it up to get our keys. And we picked up a rental car, went back and got Mom from the train depot.
We're off the train. Preacher has rented us a car. I'm going to be riding in style now from Seward to Homer. How far is that?
This is coming out of where the railroad drops you off, and we had to turn left and go down that road to get to our rental car. And we headed from Seward to Homer, and we'll explain that trip on the next episode of At Home with Miss Joan. All right, what are some of our tips for packing your luggage for summer in Alaska?
You're going to freeze slap to death. You're going to need some gloves, some of these head things.
I love these headbands.
Yeah, which she didn't take one today because she took mine.
I took hers.
But I had on 2 coats and 2 zip-up head things. Oh, you're going to freeze slap to death. I mean, really you are. Especially if you're from Alabama.
What do you
The
think?
temperature has been in the 50s mostly. And when the wind's blowing, it is cold, especially for out on the water. I'm enjoying the cool weather. I love it.
He likes it.
But it is a lot cooler than we're used to in July.
Layers. Pack layers.
Yeah.
Yes, think
And
layers.
pack some rain gear. You'll need rain gear because it rains a lot in Alaska.
It's still good. Rain or shine. It's
Yes,
good.
it is
Yeah,
good.
you just got to be ready for whatever
Just
the
gotta
weather
get
looks
ready.
like.
Yeah. She made us get ready for everything.
I did. In a carry-on.
In a carry-on. That's true.
That's right.
Oh, you learned all that from At Home with Miss Joan, Jordan, and Preacher.
On the next episode of At Home with Miss Joan, stay tuned as Miss Joan gets in a float plane to go see the bears at Brooks Falls.
And the mosquitoes are massive, are they not?
They are. That's why they call them a state bird. They're big.
But I will say I haven't gotten as many bites as I do in Alabama.
No.
Because you know I get eaten alive. I think I have 1 bite so far. I hope I didn't just jinx myself. Why do we have to talk on the trail?
I don't know. Wow.
Did you go to bear school?
I went to bear school, but I flunked. Where else would you want to spend your 50th wedding anniversary than going on a bear hunt with my honey?
All right, from there we walked. Let me try that again. And then we headed to Seward. No, headed from. Ooh, try that again.
What else, sister?
I think Joan was just tired and she didn't enjoy anything.
They like
right
to
then.
walk me to death. I know they did. I need to exercise though.
Yeah, we probably walked a whole mile.
Plus,
that
I
day.
brought a little folding cane with me. They lost it the first day. It's just gone.
How you gonna hit play?
It's playing right now.
Oh.
They'd have put mayonnaise on it. I'd have liked it. Okay.